because Zack and I are throwing the bird at each other from across the table.
Hey-o.
Because we disagree on something that came out. But
We'll talk about it.
we will. We'll talk about
Eventually.
it. So anyway, here we are once again. Welcome to another episode of the Talkbox Podcast. We're here at Scenic Adam's house in somewhere in...
It's
where
the
did we say you
woods.
live?
The Nether Zone.
Bumfuck, Connecticut.
And I'm looking out the window now. All I see is trees and snow.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
that's
no
just Connecticut
And a
for you.
blood-covered
We're in
woodsman.
Canada.
Yeah, that's it.
Kenyatta.
But anyway,
That's
so here we are once again for another episode. As always, I am Chad, Captain Tempest, with,
I'm the Dutch oven.
yes, Adam the Dutch Oven,
Good
Zack.
Zach,
Good recovery
Cryo Lord
there.
530,
Pat.
Pat, Mr. Bot.
You don't usually do the...
Do I usually do
Yeah,
everyone?
we usually point and say our names.
Fine.
And we just say hello.
Fine. Harry Laser.
Hello!
Yo.
Yo, indeed. And we have another guest on the podcast, as we do. We have Adam's girlfriend, Sarah.
What's up for Lotus?
Oh, that's right.
You do have a gamer
thing.
tag. That's right. Sapphire Lotus. Very true. All right, so we're here to talk about some stuff and things. Most recently, PAX
Already
East.
messed up the intro. He messed up the intro.
He tried
so
really
bad.
hard. He worked so hard in this
know what?
intro.
And he messed it
All
up.
right,
points.
allow
No,
me to
don't-
explain.
don't-
I am
what?
super tired because
say it.
I got hammered.
That is no excuse.
That is perfectly an excuse.
It is 5:30 the next day. You should be fine now.
I mean, I woke up at like
Why don't we just
1,
cut it?
so...
Why don't we
should be
just
fine.
start over?
Do you want to just start over?
No. This is all a
Good.
joke.
Hit with the soundtrack.
Oh my god.
Play me off, keyboard cat.
All right.
Alright, so now that we've gotten completely off track, if you're still listening to us after that, God bless you. So we're here to talk about PAX East. Zack went there as our resident Sultan of Swag.
Heyo.
So he went to PAX East and got to play with a bunch of new games that'll be coming out over the next couple of years, and also got a bunch of free stuff, and got to talk with some people and see some things.
It was neat. It was a lot of fun. I definitely always recommend folks going to PAX East. It was definitely on the lighter side when it came to free stuff just getting given out. A lot of companies are sort of figuring out that they really want you to try their game instead of just like giving you shirts and stuff. But that was still manageable. I still got to try a lot of games and do a lot of cool stuff. A lot of indie
hostage
games.
situation. Like, you want the shirt, you get over here and you play Mass Effect.
A little bit, yeah. Well, Mass Effect was sort of more of a, like, oh, it'll be forever until you get into our game thing. And it was like, oh, geez, you have to show up early for Mass Effect. Like, you had to show up at, like...
It's one of those things where you have to pick what you want to do.
You had to show up at... Well, for the specific company. So, like, for instance, for Mass Effect, because it was popular, I showed up at 8. I didn't get into Mass Effect's booth until 12.
the next day.
Well, same thing. And even then, it was just to, like, play the multiplayer. And the people behind us, like, all of them had to, like, set up a specific time for them to show up later in the day to play the multiplayer. Because they were like, okay, everyone in this line, but everyone else
nice.
has to, like, leave.
It's nice because at least, you know, they're not all standing there forever.
Yeah. But it was good. I was impressed by the number of indie games, and especially iOS games that were being sort of shown. There's a lot of interesting
favorites
talent and
on that
stuff. I would say, I guess Tooth and Tail sort of counts as a indie game. The makers of Monaco are making an RTS that's basically animals during the Russian Revolution killing each other to decide which class of animal is going to become the food. So, like, you had, like, a group of, like, there's a peasant revolution class that's like, oh, we're going to eat the nobles, and then the nobles are like, oh, we're going to eat the peasants. And
Or
like,
is every
intellectuals.
class like a type of animal? Or
When I say class, I mean, like, not like fighter, ranger, rogue. I mean, like, these are, like, basic...
Like social class.
Yes, social class. They all had, like, the same units, but it seemed like there was a very malleable, like, loadout of units. So you pick, like, 6 units and 1 defensive building.
But like,
And then, like, that's... You
I
can
guess what I was
build
asking
those.
was like, is like the peasant class all sheep and the nobles all
Nope.
lions?
It's all whatever.
conglomerate.
Yeah, it's a conglomeration of, like, these are wolves, these are sheep, these are mice, but it's all, like, mixed together.
All right.
And it's all, like, color-coded, so, like, you know, oh, the intellectuals are blue, the peasants are red, the soldiers are green, the what's-its are what. But, like,
military.
but everyone can just do whatever, like, it was, so, like, for instance, I picked an army that was squirrels as my light units, and they, like, you could just spawn little squirrel holes, like burrows, and then they would produce squirrels for you. And then, like, I would, you know, have, like, heavy machine gun badgers, and they would come up. And then I would just get snakes, which are just snakes. And stuff like that. And your main character is like a person with a flag who just you run around the map yourself while your like various buildings do their thing.
What generals do. Yep.
And then like you press a button for all your units to like come to you, and you run around, you capture farms and stuff, and then after the 5-minute mark, all of the farms run out of food. Like, do not grow any more food. Done. That is the end of your production session. And
So
then
the games are guaranteed to at least be timely.
it's a timely game. It's a quick game, and then like conflict happens pretty often and relatively rapidly.
Okay.
So, which I really liked a lot. Other than that, there was a bunch of other games that were cool, interesting ideas. Wolverblade was like Streets of Rage set in a Roman-dominated Britain back in like, oh god, definitely in the BCs. I'm not sure the exact time frame. But
Right.
it was
And by Streets of Rage, you kind of mean like a side-scroller.
side-scroller beat 'em up, but
Yeah.
with more like swords and wolves and werewolf people. I'm trying to think what else. Off the top of my head, I didn't catch the name, but Tiny Build has a bunch of different games going on, and one of them is basically Stardew Valley, but instead of you playing a simple farmer, you're a grave digger who has to maintain a graveyard and stop zombies from rising up from the grave, and then putting them back in their graves, and then fixing up the graves.
Well, that sounds intriguing, if nothing else.
It sounds super neat. Like, I like the idea of a just as Harvest Moon had like multiple weird like themed versions where you were like fighting fantasy monsters, and another one where you were like finding music and like pulling it through magic back into the world. Like, this is like that sort of thing where now Stardew Valley was a fun thing, and now they're making, this, which is sort of a different take on the Stardew Valley formula, which I like. The fact that more people are taking on that formula is fantastic. Other than that, I got to play a bunch of different other games. The Bulletstorm remake I got to try. I got to play Brawlhalla against some of the developers for Brawlhalla, which was neat. The Mass Effect multiplayer I got to try, and a bunch of other things. So.
All right. So I guess we open the floor now to the rest of us to kind of ask Zach some questions about his experience at PAX, like what
Why
kind of
on
things he
earth would
saw.
they be making a Bulletstorm remake?
I guess we'll start with that. The Bulletstorm remake. What kind of things did you learn about that exactly?
I learned that it's just Bulletstorm, but they
remade
replaced the main person. You can now play the game with the main person replaced with a Duke Nukem like model, and also like the voice actor is now Duke Nukem.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's all that's changing.
But I don't think they actually got John St. John, because I feel like that would cost too much. They probably got some other like knockoff. Duke
Well,
Nukem guy.
I mean, if an indie Kickstarter like Rad Rogers can get John St. John, I'm feeling
I know.
like an actual game company
It
could
didn't
also
sound
get
like
it.
John St. John. It sounded kind of weird. I haven't looked it up, so it might be John St. John probably. But like, I was not like, I listened to it and I was like, that sounds like a knockoff John St. John that they found lying around
Okay.
someplace.
Which a lot of people do. Like
I-
whenever they make like a Disney product, they get a knockoff. And
Exactly. Well, it was like,
usually instead of using the actual.
and other
recording.
than that, it was just Bulletstorm. Like, it was really just Bulletstorm, but like,
Well, that's what you expect from an
Redone a
HD
little bit.
remake. Like they basically like probably retuned it
But
for
it just,
modern
like-
consoles, and then maybe did a lot of like HD texture updates and stuff
I
like
know
that.
it was.
Yeah, but usually with remakes, you expect some new stuff.
you needed a big audience to begin with.
Yeah.
But
And I don't
there's
feel
literally
like-
nothing different throughout the game except for that you can choose to play with Duke Nukem.
Well, the other reason that I think it's getting released, and I think that Matt had told me about this a couple times, is that it's actually unplayable on Steam right now. Because the
Oh,
only way
really?
you could do it was through Games for Windows Live, and that does not exist anymore, so the
Okay.
game is literally unlaunchable.
Oh,
Okay,
So that might be a
they're-
reason
so they're
why
really
they're
just trying to
doing it.
like reboot, not like the franchise, but like they're trying to make it available.
Yeah, I think that's more of what it's for, and that's why they're probably not changing a whole heck of a lot.
But it was neat. More like, I had never played Bulletstorm to begin with, so it was kind of nice to try it and try like the energy lasso and stuff. But again, from like what I've seen of gameplay from the previous one, there wasn't really a difference. It's just they're re-releasing the same game, they're updating the graphics, they're making it available to a wider audience. That's what I sort of got from it, and I got a shirt. So hey,
There you go.
That's neat.
yeah.
Good stuff. I'm going to ask. I'm assuming you probably didn't hear as much about it, but I know that Telltale Games had I think they had a panel.
They had a panel,
But did they have like anything else? Like, did you get to stop by their booth and see anything that they were working on?
I did not. I did not see their booth, and I didn't get a chance to check it out because I'm not like I wasn't searching for Telltale,
Right.
Because I'm not a super fan. But I heard the panel was good. I heard that they talked a lot about storytelling and how they're like using. It's a very interesting platform that they have, where they have a brand of like storytelling games, and that lets them like really like jump into a lot of different franchises feet first, really easily, which I think a lot of people really like.
I'm sure the other brands like it too.
Yeah,
An easy way to make a buck.
exactly.
And
And
they're not really putting their foot forward on it.
I know they're making the new. They're making another Walking Dead.
After season 3, or
I think it is these. Is it the one where the girl is like all grown up
yes,
and like helping out some
yes,
folks?
they're currently in the process of that. The 3rd episode drops on the 28th.
Yeah, they talked about that. I know their CEO just left.
Yes, they did have a change in management.
Yep.
You're correct.
He
I
just
forgot
left.
about that too.
And also they're making the Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Yeah,
Which they were excited to do, but they didn't really say anything about it, as far as I know.
I know that they have a live play, like a crowd play of it coming up at some point in the future.
That'll be interesting.
So
I'd like to see how that sort of translates. I'm not sure, like, gameplay-wise, how, like...
well, how the crowd play feature works, and they started doing this with the Batman game.
Is it like most people vote for a thing?
Essentially, yeah. Like you're playing, and I think everyone has access to it from their phone.
Okay.
But like everyone's watching the episode at the same time.
Yeah.
And you vote on your phone, and whichever choice gets the most votes will be the direction that
That's
it goes
cool.
in.
Yeah.
So I imagine that they have that pretty much with most of their titles moving forward. I know that they have it for Walking Dead Season 3. They'll probably have it for Guardians of the Galaxy as well.
But people seem to be coming away from it happy, so, you know,
That'll be good.
definitely looking forward to that and seeing how that goes.
What other questions we got out on the floor at the moment?
For the games in general?
Yeah, anything in particular that we saw from his, a massive amount of swag that he got?
Well, we have 2 Final Fantasy headbands on the table right now. Was there anything unique there other than them promoting their
For the Square Enix booth?
Yeah.
They're promoting... So the Square Enix booth was promoting Brave Exvius, their app game that they're starting, which is just like the Fire Emblem app game that just launched a little while ago, except more Final Fantasy style, where it's less tactics and more like, turn-based battles against stuff. But other than that, it's very similar. Also, they were pushing Nier Automata, and Yoko Taro was there. I didn't get a chance to take a picture with him, but he was just being a crazy guy with a moon mask.
As you do.
That sounds about right.
But it sounded like a lot of fun. I had a friend who went to his panel, and they said that, talking with Yoko Taro and being able to talk about Nier Automata was really great, but then, like, all the Final Fantasy people came up to talk about Final Fantasy, and no one cared. Because Yoko Taro's just the crazy guy who's into stuff.
That's bad.
They had a lot of Final Fantasy stuff, both the multiplayer game and they're releasing for the latest game. Is it 15 is the latest game?
The one that's online?
The one that's the one that's
Final Fantasy 15 just was the one that came out most recently.
4
for
dudes in
console.
a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 dudes in a car.
bachelor party goes terribly wrong.
Yeah, the Hangover Final Fantasy Edition is getting DLC in the form of a Gladiolus only DLC, which I thought was a little weird.
What does that mean exactly?
Oh, one of the characters is named Gladiolus. He's the muscle one with the mullet.
Okay.
And literally...
It's just like a story DLC
it's literally
centered around
him by himself doing a story DLC by himself, which I thought was an odd choice, just because it's like the game is built off of the friendship of these 4 dudes in a car, barely talking to each other and looking attractive.
Yeah.
And so, like, that they would just pick, like, one of them and be like, story DLC for this one character. I was like, okay, that's a little cool, but, like good that you're making content for the game.
I mean, as long as the story it's good enough to stand alone, the character itself, I don't think is quite as relevant as long as it's something you're invested in.
They're making I got to play the Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5 HD remix.
That's a thing.
Which was neat. And it's all sort of squished together and stuff. And that seemed cool. I did a kickflip and then died horribly due to a boss battle. So
yeah, that sounds about right.
Why not? Other than that...
Flipped.
Yeah, kick flip to death in Kingdom Hearts.
Lovely.
And then...
funny you should mention that. One of the primary complaints I heard about people going into Breath of the Wild for Zelda is that they couldn't do the fast traveling of Z-targeting and then backflipping everywhere you want to go.
Yep.
They're like, what's this diving and jumping nonsense?
Yeah, and then what else? They also had the Deus Ex DLC that they're doing where like you're in a prison, and you're running around doing prison stuff. I wasn't really impressed by it.
Like Shanking Steve, stealing cigarettes.
It was just like, I don't know. I didn't
Adam
really
Jensen doing Adam Jensen things.
It was Adam Jensen doing Adam Jensen things.
Taking
and
the lunch cards.
after the first game, I didn't really buy into the second one, just because it was a little too, like the first game is very, like, at the end of the first game, you're just kind of like, okay, that was a wild trip. I don't want any more part of this. As much as I like cyberpunk stuff a lot, and the second one looks cool, but like I've looked a little bit into the plot, and the little bits of the plot that I've seen for the second one have not impressed me with their depth and their weirdness, and they're like, oh, it's the apartheid of the cyborg people. We need to join. Oh, these people want to kill all the people. Like, honestly, after you have like cyborg apartheid, I would be pretty pissed if I was a cyborg. I don't even know why Adam Jensen is like, oh, I have to help the most people. Like, screw you, society has turned its back on you, Adam Jensen. Like, go do something. Jeez, don't just help the man. But that's my personal opinion about Adam Jensen and how he didn't ask for this, but he seems to keep getting his stupid looking face in everything that he hasn't asked for. Guy, just die already. Jeez. You could have just died. That would have made everything easier on you. Okay, that's a different... That's
a different podcast entirely. But yes.
All
okay, so
right.
the Square Enix booth sounds fun.
It was all right. It wasn't bad. They gave me a lot of posters and
Yeah, they did.
things.
They bribed
I was well. It was more like they had
This
posters
podcast
there,
has
and you
been
were
robbed
supposed
by.
to do like demos to get the posters, but you could just as easily reach between the consoles and take the posters, which I did. Because I wasn't.
This podcast
I
is
wasn't
also
gonna.
robbed.
I wasn't gonna like sit and play like an hour's worth of Gladiolus running around talking to like people in a cave. I was like, I'm just gonna take the poster from my friend who likes posters.
And now we've announced to the internet that we're all criminals.
Just that.
Speaking of criminals, Antihero was a good indie game where you play a master thief.
Segway Man!
Who
There we
has
go.
to do it works like a turn-based board game, but it's like a video game, and you basically like move your goons around to like interact with the environment. And there was like a whole fog of war, and it was a really cool game. I really liked it. Antihero.
Yeah, it is. Anyway.
We got a couple cards for that right
got a
now, but the
couple
whole thing
cards
is
here.
actually digital, so the cards have no purpose?
No, they were
or-
just fun little promotional cards, and I got a masquerade mask from them, so that was neat. But it's all digital, so it's just kind of a fun, and it was fun. It was interesting.
I'm gonna look into getting it.
You should definitely look into getting it because it looked real fun.
Yeah, digital board games seem like digital board and card games seem to be kind of blowing
It's
up.
the new thing. I want to say Bethesda had their new Morrowind Elder Scrolls themed card game that's like Hearthstone, which I played last PAX, and it works basically exactly like Hearthstone, except you divide the map in half into 2 lanes, and that's how you attack and defend. So, for instance, if you have no defenders on your right side, and I have a big creature, I can pop them on my right side and then attack straight into you. And it doesn't matter because your left guys can't do anything about it.
Suck it, left guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, you gotta have your own spin on it. To be
Hashtag
competitive.
suck it left guys.
So, as our viewers know, we've done a Payday video, and the people from Payday are now working on a World War II themed version. Actually, I don't know if it's exactly the same company, but I think it's a separate studio.
I think it's related.
Yeah.
I know that I played the Raid, which is the name of the World War II Payday 2 game, and it's interesting. I can see the parts like it's almost exactly a reskinned Payday 2. I'll say that to start.
That's not encouraging.
It's
Yeah.
well, it's one of those things where I like from what I played, it's the gameplay is Payday 2 gameplay. The enemies are Nazis, and like it was even like when we started, like I noticed the very first couple of waves of Nazis all just had pistols, and I was like, okay, so they're just cops from Payday 2. And then like they like graduated to like rifles and like machine guns, and I'm like, okay,
that's
so
the
they're
SWAT
just
team.
SWAT
When did
teams.
the bulldozers come in?
The bulldozers look exactly like the regular Nazis, except with like gas masks, which I thought was a little disconcerting because like I couldn't pick them out of a crowd super
Sure.
easy. So it was one of those things where like usually I'm used to like bulldozers being like huge hulking guys, and this was just like another like Nazi who happened to wear a gas mask.
What
And I
about
was
the
like,
Nazi cloakers and tasers?
They didn't have any of those. None of those because
None of the shields?
none of the shields.
Oh no.
None of the cloakers.
My
none of the
anti-shield build will be useless.
It will. One of the things I noticed that was different from Payday 2 was that each of the individual characters had a specific power that after you killed enough enemies and after you did enough things, you filled up like a power meter and you used your ultimate. The one I was using had like a basically I could see through walls, and like enemies were highlighted red, and it made like aiming super easy, and it made everything super easy.
Was there a turn you could shoot through?
I think that was a different person's power. So like one person's power was like make all enemies.
I can see him. You shoot him. Yeah.
Make all enemies visible for all the team. Then the other person was like, I can shoot through walls, and another person was like, I have unlimited ammo for a limited amount of time, and another guy was just aim hack. Like,
I'm assuming there was some implication that there'd be the option of sneaking through stuff, because that's personally my favorite part of Payday.
I didn't see any of that. Yet.
Super encouraging.
No, I know. I'm sorry.
But it's early. Yeah, it's very early.
It's super early, and you could tell just from like playing it. Like there were times like they opened up the train, and I'm looking at the gold, and it does not look like gold. It looks like someone took like sort of a box and like painted it gold.
Oh.
And I was like, well, this is a gross looking gold
it's a placeholder
placeholder
texture.
But what's fun is I threw it like about 100 feet off a bridge into a
nice
PT boat, so that was super cool.
Jeez.
And I will say, like, I didn't get a chance to choose weapons. There wasn't like weapon loadouts, but they said they would eventually add like customizable weapon loadouts. I just ended up using like a Sten and like a pistol, and that was my thing. And another person had like a shotgun and thing. And it seems like they're definitely going with the like one person's a German person, one person's a British person, one person's an American person, one person's Russian. So they're going to do that for the characters, and then they each have their own individual like power up things. It looks promising. I think that it'll just be like we just have to wait to see how they'll improve it and what they'll change about it.
Oh, I definitely plan to keep an eye on it.
There you go.
Fancy.
Good stuff. Another booth that was there that I remember a lot of people are excited for, not myself included though, Mass Effect Andromeda for BioWare.
Hey, I was there. I played it. It was only the multiplayer, and it was like, you know, we all had our pre-selected class. Our classes were pre-selected for us based on the day, and as well as weapon loadouts and power loadouts.
But the multiplayer was essentially a horde mode again?
It was a horde mode again. It was, you know, the four of us versus waves of enemies, and then certain waves we needed to pursue objectives.
Okay, so more or less the same thing.
It's more or less the same thing,
which I was fine with. The only thing I didn't like about the previous multiplayer was the lack of players.
Right.
Yeah.
The only things that have really changed are some of your weapon powers have ammo counts now. I noticed that was a little more of a thing, like concussive blast, which before was just like a thing that you did. It's like just the generic grenade launcher off your rifle. But that now has ammo.
I think that was a thing for the multiplayer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Multiplayer was a little different from the regular single player.
I think there was like a heavy ammo system, and you could use it towards certain abilities.
Everyone had like 3 powers.
Well, and now in the new Mass Effect, depending on what type of weapon you're using, because there's a bunch of different brands, like in Borderlands, some of them have ammo, some of them don't.
Right.
Like the human-style ones have ammo.
Dude, that's great.
And then other ones have just battery life to it, where like it fires and you need to let it cool down.
Yeah. I was hoping they were making a slight joke back how in Mass Effect 1 nothing had ammo, and in Mass Effect 2 they switched to
the energy
heat sink cartridges, and an actual NPC in the game was like, so wait, how is this better than ammo?
Yeah.
He's like, because we don't use ammo, we just put all the heat in a cartridge and throw it away. Yeah, but isn't that like the same as just reloading a normal ammo clip? He's like, no, it's better.
I remember that.
We're in the future.
But I got to check it out. I liked it. I thought that cover no longer has like a button press to like get into cover. You just kind of walk up to cover. And
is it like a snap to thing?
Yeah, it's kind of like as you like walk up to a wall, you're like
that's bittersweet though, because there's the point in the game where you're trying to run somebody down, and then like your shoulder gets magnetized to a wall.
Here's
and
the thing.
Thunk, you're like, ah.
You know what'll help you run that guy down?
Ooh, do tell.
Jetpacks, because everyone has jetpacks now. Everyone just has jetpacks now, which is great.
Oh my god!
Because it definitely makes like traversing the map a lot easier.
Well, that's also a main feature that's going to be in the campaign itself. So that's why they took it over to the multiplayer for everyone.
Right there. Everybody has jetpacks.
Everybody has jetpacks.
Because now you're a Pathfinder, so you're supposed to be exploring.
That's
because you're supposed to be exploring in new worlds and stuff, so you need the jetpack to get around easily.
But it was super cool just because like I had moments where I would like see a map and I'd be like, okay, I see that there's enemies coming at me from the left. I see that there's enemies on the right. I see there's enemies like getting in like the middle, coming towards me. I'm surrounded by all sides. Oh wait, I'll jetpack onto the roof and just walk across the roof where there's no one. And I did that to get to like objectives, and that was great. But then the enemies followed me up onto the roof and then tried to murder me. Because even the enemies have jetpacks.
So literally,
everyone has jetpacks, including the only people who don't have the jetpacks are the Triceratops dogs, and those are nope, Stegosaurus dogs, wrong dinosaur. But
what the hell game is this anymore?
Mass Effect Andromeda. It's gonna be cool.
Can you answer the question that's in everybody's mind? Can you sleep with the Stegosaurus dogs?
No, you can't sleep.
Oh, okay.
They're only in multiplayer, so I don't know.
Hey.
It's a possibility.
It's a possibility. We won't know.
Knowing them, it wouldn't be like I haven't seen a named Stegosaurus dog party member yet, so probably not.
Instead of shooting it, have you tried the wink action at it?
No. Well, that's one of the main. I pre-ordered Mass Effect Andromeda for the PC. I'm a little nervous because every time I look up Mass Effect Andromeda stuff to remember what day it's gonna release, I always see 10 articles that are all everyone's been playing Mass Effect Andromeda and the facial animations are shit. And I'm like, oh, don't say that. It hasn't even come out yet.
Well,
come on.
There's been a sudden uproar of negative reviews as the game gets really close. But I kind of think that those are just getting a lot more attention because the game has a mass amount of hype.
Yeah.
And people are like, hey, why is this guy saying this great game that God gave to us?
Yeah.
And is covered in gold.
I mean, it's one of those things. And I'm just
good credit.
Honestly,
I don't know.
Well, and also though, right now there's only a handful of people that are allowed to
play. Yeah.
Well, not even just play, but allowed to release reviews for it because there's a non-disclosure agreement.
The NDA, yeah.
So until the game actually comes out, we're not going to be getting most of the reviews. But right now, yes, everyone's just flipping out over the very poor facial animations and stuff.
It's an elaborate prop to get them to lower the hype.
But honestly, I could care less about facial animations. I just care about the gameplay and the story.
I really enjoyed Mass Effect 1 through 3, even the ending. I was like, okay, it's a bad ending. But I got into it knowing that ending was going to be bad for Mass Effect 3. So it didn't matter. I was just there for the journey.
It got better.
And honestly, I just really like it's a well-written universe and it has a lot of potential, and I just want to see them utilize it more. And I think that's the thing I'm most excited about Mass Effect Andromeda is just seeing them utilize this well-written universe and having more stories in it.
I can't wait to have all the chat dialogue options of where do you guys come from? The Milky Way. Why'd you leave? Everything was fucked, so we're coming here. Well, we don't want you here now.
Why? Have you seen here? We're covered in weird bone aliens and Stegosaurus dogs.
They keep
eating my stuff. I can't even romance the Stegosaurus dogs away. I tried. Is that why you only have one leg? That's for a different romance option. I wouldn't worry about that.
With that, and the last question is about PAX.
No.
Good. All right, cool.
As a whole, how would you rate this in comparison to other PAX conventions that you've been to? Better, worse?
It was a
average year.
B minus.
B minus.
I enjoy going to PAX East. It's a lot of fun. I would definitely recommend folks going. My only issue is that, in previous years, I've walked away with a lot of cool stuff. This was one of the lean years where it was kind of I only got a couple of shirts. I got a bunch of buttons. I only got a couple of codes for betas. In previous years, I've walked away with wizard robes and crates full of bags and crazy amount of codes for things. And this year was kind of but that's okay. I understand that that's how this goes.
Yeah, especially since businesses, like you said,
they're trying to figure out how to maximize the people being involved in their game and also
not blowing all their money
not blowing all their money on promotional nonsense.
Yeah.
Stuff I saw that looked cool. I'm just going to run through them real quick. The new Prey looks cool. It has a lot of interesting stuff. I watched some of the developers play that, and they had a blast. And they had a crowd around them. And it was good. I had a really neat time with Nidhogg 2, which...
That's getting a sequel.
Not only is that getting a sequel, they revamped the art style, and now it's bananas. Now it's so ridiculous. I curb stomped a man's face in. Then he spawned in, threw a greatsword at me, and I could only block it using a bow shot, because they've added extra weapons. All the animations are ridiculous, because you're weird and cartoony. I'll show you, the trailer for it later.
Okay.
It's so weird. And I had, an epic, I want to say it was an epic 20-minute battle with a guy. We were going back and forth. And I finally, like, the developer, like, peeked out from around the TV and was like, you guys need to finish this up because I want other people to play. And we're like, oh, sorry.
Sorry,
we had, like, a crowd of people
so
around
awesome
us.
that we can't even acknowledge that we're still at a convention.
Well, I ended up throwing it for him because, like, it was one of those things where he was like, oh, I'm going to go, and he started to put the controller down. I'm like, no, man, and I waited for him to res, and then we got in a fight again, and then he started going, and I just, like, didn't try as hard to, like, kill him this time, and right before he hit that final screen, I, like, threw my sword, and it was, like, catching up to him, inch by inch by inch, and then he finally made the final screen right before it killed him, and I was just like, worth it, that's good, done,
nice.
Perfect, end of story. Also, Pit People was there, which I currently own.
Yep, for the Behemoth.
Early access, and it's still good. Like, I got to play it there, and it was good. I have it at home, and it's good. So, I mean, hey, if you want
made by the same people who made
Castle Crashers and Battle Block Theater. And I still like it. And I definitely recommend folks trying that out, just because it's a good game.
Yeah.
Even as, like, an early access title, even with, like, none of its story.
Every title that they've put out has been like drastically different from each other. So
they've all had a great track record. Like
Yeah.
all their games have. So
other than that, there's a bunch of other games that I'm not going to go into all of them. They were all interesting. But yeah, shout out to everyone who went to PAX East, and hopefully next year there will be even more cool stuff.
All right, that's everything from our resident Sultan of Swag, Zack Crowlard 530.
That's right.
As always, I'm Chad, Captain Tempest.
Wait, what?
we have other things to talk about.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, we're gonna
Never
see
mind,
it.
we're not ending.
We have some brief
Sorry,
things.
I'm
He's dropping
losing my mind
he's
here.
dropping the
Brief
intro, dropping the outro.
I think Chad just wants to leave.
Yeah,
I don't think he likes
He's
us.
so ready.
he hates us. He wants to go back to his
Don't
cave.
even use the whole everyone has jetpacks. Just use Chad fucks up as the lead of the title.
Nope. I'm not letting you.
But anyway, so we apparently have more things to talk about. So moving on from PAX East, what do we got?
I wanted to mention that. Well, first of all, who here actually owns an Xbox One besides me? No one. All right, cool.
Sorry.
So Microsoft
PS4
just very quietly, without any sort of real fanfare, released a feature for their for people who are subscribed to get the new features first, the Insider Club or whatever it's called Copilot mode. And this is a mode you can apply to any game, and it's fantastic. What you do is, let's say I'm sitting at my couch playing. What's a good game we could be playing?
Gears of War.
Gears of War, sure.
All right.
It's not a good game.
And I'm sitting next to Harry here, and he has a controller as well. We're going to be playing the campaign. Well, you can call it the campaign. This
It's a single player.
Okay, we're playing Mass Effect.
Single player Mass Effect.
You can tap the Xbox button, set up Copilot mode, and the interface that pops up lets you choose which buttons get mapped to which controller. So Harry can be in control of the abilities, I can be in control of the shooting, he can be in control of the aiming, I can be in control of the sprinting.
Okay, so what you're saying is this is what we used to do with League of Legends, where someone gets the keyboard, someone gets the mouse.
Yes.
Essentially, but this is applying it to any other game, any game that you can play on the one.
That sounds like it could make for some very chaotic
amazing
things.
Now, see, I see that as one really big perk. The other big perk is I see it as introducing people who aren't necessarily game savvy or game literate is the appropriate term to play a game with you. Because if they don't have to worry about all the controls of a game but can still be an active participant.
Say you were playing a shooter game and you set someone to just be in control of
grenades.
Like a shield. Well, a grenade was actually the example I was told.
Grenades, guns, and just grenades and guns, and it turns them into the rail shooter, and then you are the movement and the interactions. So you can bring them places and they'll shoot everything.
I think it's a really cool feature that is very high for shenanigans and very high for family playing.
See, now I'm curious to see Game Grumps get a hold of this and do something.
It'll be good. They'll do it.
You'll see things. You'll see a lot of videos popping up once it goes live.
Public. Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so that's actually a lot more intriguing than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else we want to talk about real quick?
Just real quick, Horizon Zero Dawn, they just announced that there's going to be an additional story DLC released for it at some point. But that's all the information that they've released about it so far.
I tried it. It looks good.
It's a really fun game.
Nice.
I've been playing it a lot at home.
Yeah.
Really like it.
What's your favorite part?
The part where you shoot the dinosaurs.
Okay.
The part where the dad's like, "Can you tell which part of the robot antelope is the weak part?" And you go, "Oh, is it the back yellow thing? Because I looked at it with my Bluetooth headset." And he's like, "Wait, how did you see that? How did you know that?" And you're just like, "Oh, it's the Bluetooth headset that you said was just like a garbage toy." And he's like, "Ah, you're dumb. Shut up. Go kill that antelope." Like,
it makes more sense when you actually playing the game and listening to it.
It still doesn't make much sense.
See, the only thing that I know about it is that one...
Ross is dumb.
That one collection of images, which was like a mashup between Horizon Zero Dawn and Kung Fury, where it's basically like, what age is it? The Viking Age. That explains the laser weapons.
Oh! Love it.
Horizon Zero Dawn in a nutshell.
But no, some parts of the game can be stupid because like sometimes you come up to a human encampment that you have to like wipe out. It's an abandoned camp.
What, the stealth system?
Yeah, you just hide in the bush, whistle. One person comes over, murder them silently.
I had that.
Whistle again. Another person comes over, just murder. You just keep whistling, and the person just keeps coming over, and you just keep stabbing. The bodies just pile up.
Fun fact: you had that problem in Horizon Zero Dawn. I had that problem in Mafia 3. I stacked about 40 men's corpses inside of like the elevator to a high-rise apartment, and then left scot-free. Like what?
I mean, I didn't try
broad daylight, just like a bunch of goons walking in the lobby of this fancy hotel.
For those of you who can't see,
I'm
he's
free.
making a stabbing motion.
So that's the biggest complaint I have about the game. You can just sit in the bush and just whistle, and all the enemies just come and just murder them.
Okay.
So I try not to do that unless it's a really impossible camp to do.
Well, I think it's tough,
but
it's tough to get right. I think stealth gameplay lately has gotten a lot of that.
Well, what I've heard is that like it feels like you're trying to put in too many mechanics into one game, and then it gets a little.
I get that.
Gets a little. What's the word?
Repetitive and like weird and stuff.
Yeah. It's like they started with robot dinosaurs, and worked back into the rest of the game.
Pretty much.
But still, it's a really... that's the only mechanic that
there's
can
a
be
lot
a problem,
of
but it's still a fun mechanic when you do it.
Alright.
Just don't abuse it.
Alright.
Anybody else?
Adam, what have you done this month?
What have I done?
Yeah, tell us all the cool things.
We're already on the one cool thing segment?
Yeah,
Alright.
one cool thing. Da-da-da-da.
Is that it? That's all you got?
Patented theme song.
Go.
I've been playing Card Hunters, which is on Steam, and it's like D&D, except everyone has cards and you play it and you move, and I have a dwarf and it's fun.
Alright. Short, sweet,
Well
to the
said.
point.
Chad, what's a cool thing?
Harry and I have been playing Civ 6. We lost terribly to a computer, and because we did not see that they were about to win a cultural victory in like 3 turns, and there was nothing we could do to stop it. But then we played another game in which we basically took over the world and won with religion, because that's how we wanted to try it.
Yeah,
and the religious victory, like, now that I kind of know how to play it, there's definitely like certain milestones that you have to hit in order to make sure that you can do it. Because it gets to a point where, like, the religious pressure from cities that already have a religion, it becomes impossible to try and penetrate them without taking surrounding cities. So it's a very interesting game mechanic. I'm glad that they added religious victories. So yeah, Harry and I have been doing that.
Good.
Hey Sarah, have you done anything cool lately?
WeVibe has a class action lawsuit because their app that controls their vibrators wasn't secure and could be hacked over like any Bluetooth network.
Classic.
Potentially sexually assaulting somebody. Like,
yeah, that.
And also, it was recording their. Yeah, it's been recording their usage patterns. No, like personal data, except other than like, oh, you used this setting for this long and stuff. Which, like, makes sense as they're trying to improve them, because the newest incarnations of the WeVibe have been better. They've listened to, like, common complaints with the charging ports and all these other things. But, obviously, people are like, I don't want you knowing when I jerk off. Right. So, there was a class action lawsuit going on. And even though there is actually no proof that they did, in fact, keep, like, there are no servers they found that have, like, people's usage information.
Right.
They're still giving people money anyway.
Right.
Man, it's really good that we stopped making this podcast family friendly.
Take notes, Watch Dogs 3. Hack the planet. All right.
Nothing to say.
Harry, what do you got for us?
Cool thing.
He recently learned how to hack vibrators.
What a coincidence.
Side job.
No, I've been playing Dungeon Defenders 2 a lot recently. It's a really fun game, and they just released a really big patch that did a complete overhaul for the end game content of it.
Oh yeah!
So I've been enjoying that a lot and playing that.
Good stuff, Pat.
I've been playing Serenity Tabletop at a local store place, Wester's Way. I don't really know what to call it. It's a
hobby store.
It's not a hobby store.
It's not even a store. It's not even
a store.
It's literally just like a space with classrooms, and most of the time it's like Zumba and like exercise stuff. But like one guy was like, "Let's have D&D there because we just need a place with tables."
Well, like a hobby store could just be like a
it's
they don't sell any games.
No, I know it doesn't.
So it's more just like a Dungeons and Dragons environment. It's a game.
It's just like
game
a hobby
environment.
room.
I guess
Hobby
you could
room.
say.
Yeah, they have a whole section of their program dedicated to just tabletop, Magic the Gathering, D&D, tabletop games of D&D of various sorts,
various flavors.
I mean, but if you walk in, the first thing you're going to see is a big playground for a bunch of kids to play in. So they have different focuses, and in the back there's lots of martial arts going on, and a big craft room,
all year round summer camp.
It's almost like a community center.
Yeah,
it's like a community center.
I started playing a Firefly themed D&D game there called Serenity, and it reminds me a lot of Dark Heresy, but it's a fun little thing, and that's something unique I've started doing.
All right, good stuff.
And Zack.
And then Zack.
Zack.
I'm looking forward to Mass Effect Andromeda, which I just pre-ordered the other day. I'm also looking forward to...
We haven't talked about that yet. We should start.
I know. I'm also looking forward to Persona 5 is finally fucking coming out.
Yes.
So looking forward to that. I have that already pre-ordered. I've had that pre-ordered for a year, and I'm just waiting. And then a buddy of mine is moving to Florida, so I just bought the Phantom Pain off of him, and I was playing that, and the Phantom Pain is wild. Truly ridiculous.
Like, we talking Saints Row ridiculous, or...
I rescued my friend from a Soviet encampment in Afghanistan, and then I got chased by zombies with machine guns. And the zombies can, ninja run next to my horse while I was riding my horse with my friend away.
This is also the game where you can attach people to weather balloons.
Okay.
Have them float up and then shoot the weather balloons.
Again,
and have them fall.
that's not even a new feature. That is from Peace Walker. This is just a sequel to Peace Walker. But it's a lot of fun. I've been enjoying it so far. It's a little wild because I've been I've been tranquilizing, darting wildlife and then hooking them up to hot air balloons and sending them back to base. Which you can do for any, you can do that to, most enemy soldiers. You can, trank them, and then if they're in the right spot, you can send them back to base with, a weather balloon thing. With the Fulton recovery system.
Collecting them?
Yeah, I'm collecting them like Pokemon and then making them work for me. And every time I show up, it's funny because they salute and they're like, "Hey boss, thanks for rescuing me and helping me with this opportunity." The only way I can interact with them is by beating them up and throwing them and then re-Fultoning them back to base. So,
oh my god!
And I just saved a one-eyed puppy that I'm going to turn into a murder hound in about another couple missions. So. Actually, my latest mission is I have to sneak into a Russian encampment to recover a goat. There is a goat? There is a goat that is for some reason important to military intelligence, and thus I shall capture it, and I shall send it back.
Alright.
Yeah.
And with that.
Saving Private Goat.
You said you wanted to add a second thing about the cool thing list?
No.
No? Oh,
no, I
sorry.
said I was going to take over the ending because Chad keeps listening.
I'm already disappointed in myself, so you can have it. I don't need it.
Yeah. And as always, this has been the Talkbox Podcast. We're on the Facebooks, we're on the Twitters.
We're on the YouTube.
We're on the YouTube.
We're on the iTunes, but not new iTunes.
I mean, you're probably listening to us on one of those platforms right now.
We're on the T-Tunes, too.
So, as always, I'm Adam.
I'm on the B-Tunes. I'm Zack.
I'm Pat.
I'm Howard.
I'm Sarah.
I'm a fucking disgrace.
AKA Chad.
AKA Chad.
And I guess that's one way to end it.
Bye, everybody. See ya.
To the cage.